Oddly enough, Maduro's capture this morning is going to have negative consequences for Canada, at least our Canadian economy, and no one's talking about this. Check this out. I called it this morning and I said good news and bad news. Good news for the end of a narco state. Bad news for the Canadian economy. Canadians have no idea what this means for our oil industry and our economy. A US-friendly president will be installed. The US will lift sanctions from Venezuela and heavy crude oil will flow from Venezuela to the US. This means that Canada's primary customer for crude, the US, will now have cheaper options available. By Canada not pushing through with Keystone XL expansion to Asia and Europe, it will cost us dearly. Trump wanted Keystone XL. He mentioned it several times this year, and now he's got something bigger and better, the biggest oil reserves on Earth. This was the key leverage we had on Kuzma, the US dependency on our oil. Now that that's gone, Carney took too long to negotiate. Trump likely realized that Canada will never supply the quantities of oil, gas the US wants, needs, and instead he diversified. I know this is going to make Carney sweat. It's not good news for Canada's economy. We had a potential for a monopoly and we blew it. As you can see, since I posted this, it has nearly 2 million views. Now listen to what President Trump just said.
As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary. But
I told you so. I knew it, and I called it. Donald Trump is taking the same advice that he gave to the Germans when he warned them that they had too much dependency on Russian natural gas. The US has too much dependency on Canadian oil, crude oil to be exact. Venezuela has the same type of crude oil as we do, except they have more reserves. This is how catastrophic this is for the Liberals, for Canada, and for Mark Carney. Trump would instead diversify with Venezuela than to invest in Canada. What an insane failure by the Liberals.
Breaking news, I think this is the end of Canada as we know it, since we now know that the United States control Venezuela's gas and oil, the biggest reserves in the world, especially crude oil. Canada has lost its leverage. Our biggest client and our biggest revenue for crude oil was the United States. And now that he is in control of it, well, he has every single power he needs to renegotiate Kuzma. This means the Liberals and Mark Carney have failed us and probably has lost us our freedom in the sense of being Canadian. Great.
This is what they don't want to tell you about why Donald Trump went in and bombed Venezuela and took Maduro, the Venezuelan president. Now, if you watch the media, you're going to see that they're telling us one thing. And what is that? We all know they're telling us that this is because of the drug trafficking. And then you're going to hear the other side saying, well, no, it's because of the oil. Now, while both of these are true, they're not the important reason why we did this. See, what a lot of people don't understand, or they're not connecting this, but the world runs on oil. We all know that. But it also dominates for the dollar. If we don't have oil, if we have China and Russia partnering with countries close to us that are oil powers on top of it, what do you think that's going to do to the United States over the long run? So if countries that are on the border of the United States, and that's South America, all the countries in South America, that is Mexico, that is Canada, right? That's Puerto Rico. It's technically a U.S. territory, but my point is that countries that are in our hemisphere, that are close to us, we need to make sure that we have control over them. And that is a point that they will not tell you, just like I'm hesitant to even say that because of what people are going to say and think in the comments. But this is a world where it's be or be killed. And if we see that China is partnering up and Russia is partnering up with countries in South America, they start flying their jets over, they start parking their nuclear submarines over here, they start building bases over here in our hemisphere, how does that make you feel as an American? Let me know in the comments. But if one of the world's largest oil producing companies, or could be if they had the right infrastructure, is not partners with us, is not friends with us, is run by a dictator, that is a fact. The man was a dictator. He lost the election to the woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize. He decided just to stay in power. Well, if we can't get along with these people, and I'm not saying the Venezuelan people, because if you look at the streets of Venezuela, they're partying. They love this because they know how bad they've had it under this man. But it's so much bigger than that. It's for national security of the United States of America. And the rest of the world, a lot of countries, they don't like us. It's like that when you're at the top. The more success you have, the more enemies you make, the more problems that you have. So while everybody is losing their mind about, oh, he's going in for the oil, let's think about why. Why do we need the oil? Is it just the oil, or is it a plethora of things in the partnership of an oil-rich country that has been led by a dictator for 20 to 30 years? I personally think that there are more positive things that are going to come out of this than negative, not just for the people of Venezuela, but for the entire world. And the stronger that we are, and the more control that we have in our hemisphere, the more powerful we are, the less people will want to fuck with America. And I'm sorry, I do live here. I do live in District 1. And personally, as an American, I would like to keep it that way. Because I know that you cannot change how humans react. But what's coming in the future, none of this in the next 20 to 50 years is even going to matter because of how crazy AI is gaining traction and what that's going to do for equality in the world. So while everybody's worried about right now, the rest of the world is going to get a lot better in the coming years. But in the meantime, America needs to protect itself. And I'm okay with that. Make sure you guys like, share, follow. God bless the Venezuela people. God bless America. And we'll see you guys soon.